Well, welcome back everyone. We are parked up on a hillside somewhere in Bosnia, and we thought we'd take the opportunity today to talk about some of the tech that we use in the van. Not just all the fancy trendy things, but the things that actually make a difference to us, that work for us over several years of van life. And that technology is everything that's keeping ourselves safe, cooking without gas, fully powered, for staying off grid for several days. So let's go and take a look. Okay, let's start with the newest edition. And it's funny really because we've traveled across so many countries. We've never really fitted a dash cam before. And it wasn't because we didn't feel that we needed one. It just never really sort of came up our priority list.
Recording. One channel started.
This is the Vanlife A329S. I'll pop some details in the description below. Installing it was really simple. We've also got a rear camera that connects to it. There's a long cable, but once everything's tucked away behind the trim, it all tidies up quite neatly. Now, what's generally surprised us is this image quality. All of the footage you're looking at here has come directly out of the dash cam.
Wanna clear a bottle of Cabernet, wanna stay home, not even drink, wanna get out of my own head, wanna lay down, overthink. I wanna cry every tear I got, put on a dress, be a stranger's dream, lock up this heart of mine, wanna wear it on my sleeve. I kinda wanna hate you, but I wanna love you too. I wanna hold you close and let you go, find someone new. And I wish it wasn't, but my mind's made up in two. What's killing me the most is knowing two things can be true. Wanna throw away your vanity, wanna wear it to sleep tonight, wanna wipe our slate clean, wanna pick this thing up right where we left off, wanna block your number.
Whether it's bright sunshine, driving through tunnels, rainy days, all the detail has been really impressive. Now, just to get a little bit techie here, it has a Sony Starvis 2 sensor, and that is particularly noticeable once the light starts fading. And that's exactly where a lot of cameras begin to struggle. Now, one feature I wasn't actually sure I'd use is the voice control. You can just simply tell it to lock the video. Lock the video. If something happens while you're driving, you don't need to reach for any buttons. It just saves that portion of the video. And then everything can be viewed straight onto a phone through the app, and that makes reviewing or downloading the footage really straightforward. One of the really good features about this camera is the parking mode. And as people who live full-time in our van, that's quite important. So when we pop off somewhere to go and see a site, or we nip into the shop or something like that, we know that the cameras are keeping watch over the van. But if something does go wrong, it's nice to know we've got ourselves covered.
Upgrades we've made in this van is switching to induction cooking. We actually carry 2 portable induction hobs, although in reality we only ever use one. The reason we went for portable units rather than a built-in hob is for flexibility. When we finish cooking, they simply slide back into a drawer, leaving the entire worktop free. Induction works by heating the pan directly rather than the cooking surface itself, so it's incredibly responsive. Dial the power up and it heats almost immediately. Turn it down and the heat drops just as quickly, giving you finer control than you'd expect. And because the glass itself isn't the heat source, food is less likely to burn onto the surface, so it's usually just a quick wipe over once we've finished. Of course, induction isn't for every van. It needs a battery and inverter system capable of supplying the power. But if your electrical setup can support it, it's fast, efficient, easy to clean, and for us has been an excellent way to cook every day.
Okay, a quick mention about Starlink. I won't labour the point too much. Most people know what it is and how it works. But when we're travelling full time, and we've been in some parts of Europe and even North Africa where signal has been a real issue. We're heavy data users. We do a lot online, so it's quite an important piece of kit for us. And in fact, this video here that we're working on now will get uploaded via Starlink in the middle of Bosnia. Of course, all of this electronics needs power. We have 300 amp hours of lithium battery, and we use a 2000 watt inverter as well, and keeping that charged is quite important. So we have different ways of charging: battery to battery, electric hookup, but we've only used that twice in about the past 3 or 4 months, and solar charging. And we've got two options for solar charging. We've got fitted panels on the roof, and they only give us 180 watts, which isn't really sufficient to get the batteries charged the way we need them. But we're now starting to use portable panels. These are 400 watt Ecoflow ones. Now, when we talked about these on social media, a lot of people asked us how we fitted them. So what I did was create a couple of minute video showing exactly how I installed them. And I'm going to use that video now to show you how these panels work for us. Okay, so this is my battery setup. I'll start at the battery end. Now, I've chosen not to wire the solar panels in permanently just yet, and I'm using crocodile clips so that I unclip them every time I move until I'm happy that everything is working properly and I don't need to make any changes. So I've got a positive crocodile clip going onto the positive battery terminal. The negative is going up onto the buzz bar, and I've done that so that it's beyond the shunt and it reads properly on the vehicle display, and I need to be on the other side of that shunt in order to do that. Now, I've bought a separate MPPT. This is a Victron 130, so it'll take up to 30 amps of charge coming in. I've got a positive cable coming out of the MPPT through a 30 amp fuse, and then that is going down to the positive terminal. These are my cables that are normally wrapped up and just tucked in here. This is 10 AWG, just to get a bigger cross section of cable, and it also reduces the voltage drop as well and keeps any overheating down to a minimum. And I've only got about 5 meters of that, and that is running out here to, let's get in on this plug socket. So this socket here, from the solar panel, this comes with what they call an XT60 type cable, because it's designed to go straight into one of their, in this case, Ecoflow power station. I'll just get that a bit clearer for you. If I try and wire this thicker cable into an XT60 plug, the terminals are just a bit too small to try and get them into it. So I've gone up at one. This is called an XT90, and I've wired it into that, and then I've used like a step down adapter to convert to the 60. Ultimately, I'll swap those out for the sort of proper solar MC4 plugs, which are weatherproof and the correct ones to use, but that's just the way I'm doing it at the moment. Of course, I'm not going to put these out in the rain anyway. And then over to the panels here, and we're just grabbing the last bit of sun for the day, and just trying to keep these out of the shade. Slight bit of shade does make a big difference on these panels as well, and the angle you present them to the sun as well. So they've got these sort of fold down legs here, and even though we're on a bit of a slope, it's still sort of getting me 370, 380 watts of power in on a 400 watt panel setup. Okay, so that's just a few of the bits and pieces we use in the van. I hope you've got something out of it. Please feel free to throw any questions you may have in the comments. We'll catch you on the next video. Take care.